And we're live. Hello, guys. Welcome back to another FPL video. My name is FP and I have no idea what I'm doing with my team. The deadline is in an hour and 15 minutes. For the first time, I am doing a deadline stream. I'm really happy. I did an early deadline stream last game week, but yeah, this is the first time I've been able to do a deadline stream because I normally work on Saturday mornings. So because of the early deadline, being on a Friday, I'm actually able to do one of these streams and I'm able to show you guys my team. And I have absolutely no idea what moves I'm going to be making at all. Because yeah, I mean, as you can see here, I've got 2 free transfers still, and I've got Mbermo in the team who I'm not happy with. I've got Neto, who's currently on the bench, who I could be transferring out, and I've still got Haaland. But yeah, this has all come about because I was so set. I was so set on selling Wilson, just getting rid of Wilson, getting in Watkins. But Isak happened to get injured in the Champions League. So yeah, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing because Wilson now looks like a great option for the away fixture against Wolves. He's a massive differential as well. He is somebody who, oh my goodness, yeah, stockbroker released those 14 millions. Yeah, I'm really tempted. I mean, I will just go on my team right here. So yeah, I mean, selling Haaland is definitely on my thoughts. The problem I'm having at the moment, right? Add in Watkins, I would then be able to upgrade Mbermo to Saka, right? Easily done. But then that's kind of it, right? Because then looking at what my team looked like before, I've not taken a hit. I've then got my starting lineup, but then I've got 4.3 million in the bank. So I could do Neto up to Son. But then the issue becomes for a -4, who do I then bench? Do I bench Alvarez because it's not the best fixture against Man United? Do I still bench Wilson just because it's not 100%? We could still have the likes of a Gordon starting up top. They could switch things about a bit. They could want to give Wilson that rest. Diaby, someone else potentially could be benched. Maybe even Madison. I'm just not sure. The only thing I'm definite on, by the way, is Salah captain. Salah will definitely have my armband. There is no way he can be that far in my thoughts as a Liverpool fan and I not captain him. I just think he is the best captaincy choice this game week. I know that Watkins, Saka, even Son and Haaland are all great captaincy picks. But yeah, I just think it has to be Salah for me this game week. Absolutely has to be Salah. So yeah, it's a really, really tricky one, to be honest. I would, yeah, I just don't know who I'm going to bench. The issue is because obviously I'm saving a lot of money. I have thought about doing something like getting in Trent. I have thought about getting in Trent. So I bench Neto and Mbermo, and then I do Bell up to Alexander Arnold because it's just such a good differential at the moment. And I could still even get Saka as well. So the other option I thought about, which I could do, is I do Wilson to Watkins. And then what was I doing? It involves Martinelli somehow. I think it was in Burmo to Martinelli. Yeah. And then 1 million. 1 million. How do I get the 1 million? Maybe it was downgrading Neto, something like that. And then it's quite nice because then I still play the 3-4-3. It just means I don't have Son. I want to be able to cover Watkins, Salah, Saka, and Son. So the mindset I'm giving it is if I do the Haaland move, Haaland's the only player I'm worrying about in the entire game. I have Trippier, I have Son, Saka, Salah, Diaby, Alvarez, Watkins, and I've even got Wilson as a differential. Haaland is the only player I would fear. Whereas if I don't do these moves, I'm fearing probably 2 of Saka, Son, and Watkins. I'm probably fearing 2 of them. Salah captain as well. Forrest didn't let many goals in. Yeah, I mean, that is true, isn't it? I mean, I did do the goals conceded thread for Nottingham Forest, and they weren't too bad, were they? I mean, what is it? Two goals? No, yeah, 2 goals here, One there. I mean, they let one to Sheffield United. I mean, and then I mean XGC. Actually, no. Let's pick someone who's played. Has Turner played every game? I think Turner played. Yeah, Turner played every game. So 12.5 XGC over 9 games. Is that's not too bad. And they were very good against Arsenal. I do remember that one. They were poor against United, poor against Chelsea, and relatively poor against Luton as well. It kind of depends which one you want to look at. But I do agree. If we're looking solely on fixtures, if you value Watkins, Saka, and Salah equally in terms of assets, I think the captaincy choice is Saka easily. I think Sheffield United are by far the worst team in the league currently in terms of defensive form. And Luton are bad, but they're not as bad as Sheffield has been. And as we've seen in the Spurs game, I mean, I know they did have someone sent off, but they can keep teams to just one goal. Whereas Sheffield United, I don't think have at all. Have they actually? I mean, yeah, I mean, Crystal Palace was only one goal. But yeah, I mean, just look at all those L's and the draw there. I mean, to be fair, Newcastle the only team to put more than 3 past them. But yeah, I just think this could be an absolute mauling. This could be a 4 or 5-0, and Saka only needs a goal and an assist, and it's an absolute haul. But yeah, I just like Salah's odds this game week. I've got to keep my eye on the deadline as well. But yeah, also about the costume, by the way, I've got a Halloween quiz to go to after this in the evening, so I won't have any time to get changed after the stream. So I'm literally streaming in these clothes and then just heading straight there. But yeah, still really unsure what to do. I'm not set on selling Haaland. I mean, that is sort of the main thing. When I look at the stats, it's just these things, right? West Ham, absolutely massive XG. Fulham, massive XG. Southampton, Sheffield United, massive XG. Even a pretty big one against Nottingham Forest. And then he sort of trailed off for a bit here in these 3 games. Do I think he's going to bounce back? I mean, he easily could against Man United. If I'm not mistaken, he's played against Man United 3 times. He's blanked twice, and then he's absolutely hauled the other time. But that time he hauled was at home. I think the fact that this is away and the Chelsea fixture is also away really benefits me if I'm going to sell him, and the Villa one as well. The Liverpool and Spurs games, they are tough. They are tough on paper. They're defensively quite solid. It is just this Bournemouth fixture that I really worry about. So if I'm going to sell Haaland, it has to be this game week. There is no way I'm selling him next game week, and it would be to cover all of the tricky assets. But yeah, I mean, if I do the moves here, you can help me out in the chat who you would bench out of this 8. So just looking at the 8 attackers, who would you bench? Because I think it's between Maddison, Diaby, Alvarez, Wilson. I think Salah has to absolutely play. I'm bringing in Son, Saka, and Watkins. I think they all play. Obviously, there'd be no point for me bringing them in, but I think they're definitively better than the other assets. I think Maddison is underrated as an asset. I think his points totals are looking really good. He's just really consistent. I'm confident on a Maddison return, not a haul, because I mean his highest points total is 10, right? But I'm confident on a return against Crystal Palace. Diaby, I'm not as confident as a return, but it is one of the best fixtures possible, home at Luton Town. Alvarez is just so consistent as well. These scores are absolutely amazing. But Man United, is it a tough fixture? I don't know. It's red on the fixture difficulty, but do we have confidence in Man United's defense? And then obviously Wilson, just because he now looks like he's going to start, and Wilson's data is absolutely crazy when he starts. Could you elaborate why you're going for Salah captain? So a big part, I do think bias does play a big part into it, purely because I know that in terms of effective ownerships, I like to watch the games throughout the weekend, and I like to be able to root for my players. I think that Salah is going to creep to 100% effective ownership this game week. So when I'm watching the games, if I see that Salah's over 100% and I've not got him captained, I'm essentially I'm wanting him to blank, which sucks in terms of a enjoyment perspective. So if it's a close call between players and Salah's one of them, I'm pretty much always going for Salah. You can own Watkins and you can own Saka in your teams and still root for them. But those would be my top three, without a shadow of a doubt, is those three. But if you're thinking about it, sensibly, you want to pick the player who's going to score the most points, right? So I think it could be any of the three. I think if I was to put all bias aside, I think I would go for Saka just because he's got penalties in his locker. Well, most of the time, as long as he's not handing them away. But he takes most penalties. Sheffield United is the best fixture on paper, and Arsenal attack is just super, super good. And Watkins, there is just a 10% doubt that he might be benched for this game. Just a 10% doubt because he's played not too long ago. He played a lot of minutes. Duran is a fairly good backup. It's Luton Town at home. Does he get a rest? Potentially. Aston Villa might have a cup game though, so it might make more sense to play Watkins and then give Duran the cup. Same thing as Saka, to be honest. But yeah, I think the points potential for Salah is the highest. I think he can have a poor game and still absolutely haul. Liverpool seem to be earning a lot of penalties recently. I think that's a factor to play in as well. Watkins doesn't have penalties as well, which I think does factor in a bit in terms of the captaincy. And Salah's just got multiple assets to return, right? I know he's not got mega high expected assist total, apart from that Wolves game, crikey. But he's got multiple assets to score points, and his bonus total as well has looked incredibly good. So yeah, Salah is the top captaincy for me. But again, any one of Saka and Watkins, I'd happily say are good choices. And Son and Haaland as well, I'd then put as my fourth and fifth, who are still good choice. I mean, to be fair, you can root for Haaland now, I would say, because so many people are thinking about selling Haaland. I would definitely consider, you can root for him now. Bench Diaby, easy pick for me. Oh, really though? Against Luton at home, I just think there's so much potential for that to go catastrophically wrong. He's the kind of player who I could very easily see not getting anything, but I could also see hauling because it's Luton. Whereas a player like Maddison, I think it's very likely he returns, but the chances to haul are pretty low. Are pretty low for Maddison because he's only got double digit once. He never really looks like he's getting a double digit haul in any game. Villa scored 23 goals. Diaby 2 assists. Really? Just 2 assists. But how many goals does he have? Does he have? He has 2. Okay, so he's got 2 goals, 4 assists. So I'm guessing you meant goals. So yeah, he's not very talismanic, is he? But the thing is, right, 6 goals against Brighton, 4 goals against West Ham. I'm not picking Diaby because I think he's a talisman. I'm picking him because he's an attacker for a team who's scoring a load of goals in a team who's got a very good fixture this game week. When I look at the rest of the team, Salah, talisman, Saka, talisman, Watkins, talisman, Wilson, arguably not a talisman, despite the fact he's putting up such good data. I mean, in that 8-0, he scored once. In the 4-0, he scored once. So he's probably not as talismanic as you think. Alvarez isn't talismanic, but he just keeps returning, doesn't he? And again, feels terrible if I was to bench him and he'd do really badly. And obviously, if you've been watching the streams, I'd love to have Ben White in my team this game week. I think Ben White against Sheffield United is such a good asset. If I was on wildcard, Ben White would be my wildcard. Absolutely no shadow of a doubt. I don't care. You can save the point, the 1 million or 0.8, I think it is, on Gabriel. Gabriel's just got a bit of a rotation risk for me. And I think for the extra attacking potential that Ben White offers you, I think he'd be in my team regardless. I think you just make one simple downgrade and just leave it at that. And also Bowen is someone I would love to get into the team. But again, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it this game week because I'm getting it like the maximum amount of transfers I'm doing is 3, right? And the three players I want are Son, Saka, and Watkins. So the only way I get in Bowen or White or someone like that is if I'm taking a -8. And I don't think that's happening because as I've shown on my game week ranks, I seem to do better when I don't take hits. But yeah, if you guys have got some of your own questions as well, own doubts about your teams, for me to have a think about, let me know. Hopefully you're not as stressed as I am on this deadline, because getting rid of Haaland is quite a big jump. Those of you who sold him in game week 8, you must be so happy, because you just have absolutely no worry about it. You've committed to not going Haaland. You've no worry about getting him back in. Yes, when it comes to the game weeks, you are worrying about him, and unfortunately, it's the last game. Well, actually, that might be a better thing. Is it a better thing that the Man City are playing last in the game week? Because then, if he does really well, at least you know. Is it the dread of waiting until that game? Is that bad? Or what? I mean, what happens if he hauls and it's the first game? Then you have a shit game week, and you just know that for the entire thing, which is absolutely rubbish. But yeah, I'm really debating on what to do, umming and ahhing on what to do. So any help would be great on my own team as well. Trippier as well is someone who I could sell to make up funds, but I mean, just look at those scores. Look at those scores. Wolves, I fully expect to haul. Arsenal, he could still get some points, but I don't really have high hopes for that. Bournemouth, I fully expect to haul. Chelsea and Man United will be interesting. He could definitely get points in that game, especially against Man United, because they just seem to struggle so much at scoring at the moment. Not got high hopes for the Chelsea one, but then after those two, look how great the fixtures are. I'll just want Trippier back again. So I think Trippier is a comfortable hold easily until game week 19. Game week 20 might be when you start to consider it. But is it weird that they've got Luton and Nottingham Forest, and then in 3 game weeks time they've got Luton and Forest again? I think it's a bit weird how they've done some of the fixtures, but yeah, he basically plays Luton twice in the space of, what is that, 6 game weeks? Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Do you have Brighton assets? If not, why? Because I'm not on wildcard, basically, and there's other players I'd love to have. But yeah, you are totally right. To be fair, I know you say Brighton assets. I think Matoma's the only one I would ever go for. I think everyone else is just such a rotation risk. I don't really like picking players that are big rotation risks. And yeah, I think when it comes to the Brighton players, the only one you can be pretty much certain is going to play is Matoma. Adingra is a really nice punt. I do like that a lot, purely because of the March injury. And I think, yeah, unknown return date is going to be out for ages. So Adingra could be a fantastic punt. And to be fair, I should probably think about, like, if I do Wilson to Watkins, all players. And then I do Mbermo, let's say, to Saka. Could I then do? Oh, I can't. I can't do Diaby to Adingra, because that's definitely something to think about. It would have to be Madison to go, but then again, I don't have Son. And then, I mean, at least I know if that's a good or bad decision immediately, because it's the first game of the game week. But yeah, is Son that crucial? This Crystal Palace game, I think, is amazing on paper. The Chelsea one, it's at home, but I think they only scored maybe like 2 goals in that game. Wolves is a good one. And then these two are pretty tough, I think, Villa and Man City. And then obviously there's West Ham and Newcastle. So the fixtures aren't great, I'd say, for Spurs. But I think I've been very stubborn on not getting in Son. I think I just need to have him and stop worrying about it. Yes, his expected goal stats haven't been fantastic, but he's just so clinical. He's so clinical. He's going to get chances. And I think he even said in an interview how easy he's finding it playing as striker. That is, like, concerning as a non-owner, because I mean, yeah, he's fine. He's finding it easy just scoring goals. But yeah, that's kind of why I don't have Brighton assets, because I just like other players more, and there's not many to pick from. I would like Matoma in the team. I think if I was to wildcard, I would heavily consider having Matoma, but I'm not on wildcard, so I just can't. Because I need Watkins and I need Saka for definite. And if Matoma comes in and that gives me enough funds to do something else, I mean, I could do like Wilson to Watkins and Burmo to Matoma. That could be something I do, but then I don't have Saka and I don't have Son. So yeah, you're just fearing people no matter what. Don't go near Trippier. He's a must-have at the moment. I agree. I think he's I mean, he's the most essential out of all the defenders. And I mean, yeah, he just puts up ridiculous numbers, doesn't he? Like, not even looking at the expected stats, right? 3 assists. The amount of crosses you watch him put in a game is just absurd. 3 assists against Sheffield, one against Burnley, one against West Ham, one against Crystal Palace. I firmly expect him to get another one against Wolves. And yeah, I understand why people are selling him in wildcard, because when you try to build the team and you just have you're 2 million short of your perfect midfield five, you sell Trippier to be able to get him in, right? And if it's a toss up between Haaland and Trippier, you are probably going Haaland, aren't you? But I think I said in one of my previous streams, right? There are so many assets. You like Trippier on 59, Salah and Son and Saka and Bowen and Madison and Burma, all of these in the 50s. And then Watkins is even ahead of Haaland. There are so many assets in the game who are high scorers. If you sell Haaland, you can have all of them. Simple as. You can have absolutely everyone. So that's why I'm so close to pulling the trigger. The problem is I don't know who to bench, and I don't know if I want to take another -4 to even get in Son, because is getting in Son for a -4 worth it. The only player I miss in my team is Bowen. What do you think about Madison out next game? That is Stockbroker. That is exactly my plan transfer. That's kind of why I want to get in Son this game. So if I move over actually to if I stop presenting for a second, hello, and I share the planner. Yeah, so you're all familiar with this site, aren't you? So and I do the moves, right? So I do to Watkins, and I do Mbomo to Saka, and I do Neto to Son, and I bench Diaby, like was recommended. And then that's a really strong team. And then this game week, I would then bench Wilson. I'd bench Wilson for the away game against Arsenal, and then I'd do Madison to Bowen. Absolutely, because I think West Ham's fixtures are just absolutely absurd. Brentford, Forest, Burnley, Crystal Palace. Yeah, the Spurs game's difficult, but Fulham away. And Bowen is such a talisman in the team. He always scores high. He's done it for the last 2 seasons. He always scores high. And also doing this as well, it gives me flexibility to, if somehow Man United start doing really well. I mean, who have they got? They've got really good fixtures, right? Coming up. They have got, let me just check. They've got Fulham. So Fulham, Luton, Everton in 3 games. If they suddenly do well in Fulham in game week 11, you then move to game week 12, right? And it does become difficult. I'd then play Wilson again. Probably bench Alvarez. He's probably the weakest there. But then I could consider getting in a Bruno Fernandes against Luton, who was a big differential. And I mean, depending on the fitness of everyone else. And then I could very easily just downgrade Alvarez to a 4.5 and then get someone else in. But I'm always just worrying about Wilson, right? I'm always the site is FPL.team, I think it is FPL team. It says in the top left. Really handy site for planning transfers. You can plug in your team ID. The team ID, if you look on the website and you go on pick team, your points, you'll have fantasypremierleague.com/entry/a number. That number's your ID. You enter that into FPL team, and then you can basically plan your transfers. I find it really helpful to be able to look at what your team's going to look like in future game weeks, so that you don't have benching headaches, basically. But yeah, if I go back to how long we've got 50 minutes. I need to make a transfer as well, because I've got 2 free transfers, so I do need to do something. The issue with selling Haaland is that I can't do anything until I sell Haaland, because obviously I then use that money elsewhere. Take a -4 Flecken for Turner. This makes it possible for the transfers you thought about. Oh, for getting in a Dingra. Yeah. I mean, that is a good point, because in terms of who's Areola got next week, game week? He's got Brentford. So I think I back the West Ham defense more, despite the fact it's an away game. So I probably play Areola in the next 5. Unless Flecken's got a good fit. Oh, he's got Luton. Okay, so I play Areola in the next 4. And then, so in the next 7 game weeks, I play Flecken twice. So yeah, it is probably worth getting rid of Flecken. Obviously, if I was wildcarding, I wouldn't have him. But yeah, if we downgrade into, let's just say, Shikoja, This is the first one I can think of that's 3.5. That doesn't give me enough to Alvarez to Watkins. It does give me enough for Wilson to Watkins, and then Mbermo not quite to Martinelli. And then I could do Neto to Adingra. That would work. Oh, but then I got a benching headache. Oh my goodness, there is so many things to think about here. But yeah, that is a good point. I can save 0.6 million by downgrading Flecken. Said last stream, Brighton have a sweet get. Yes, I remember. I was in absolute shock when I looked and saw that this run up until 28 for for Brighton is ridiculous. They have one game that is a 4 difficulty, Arsenal away. I mean, yeah, Spurs twice is pretty difficult, but those are probably the only 2 tough games you'd say, and maybe Chelsea. But yeah, Brighton's run is ridiculous. If only you could know who's nailed down a spot in that lineup. Even the goalkeeper, right? I would absolutely go for the Brighton goalkeeper because they're both quite cheap now, right? Yeah, 4.3, 4.4. If you just knew which goalkeeper was going to play all the time, I'd absolutely consider them, but you just don't know. You just don't know. Estupinan, as again, if he's back fit, we've seen him on grass, haven't we? And if he's back, then he's certainly a consideration for the defense. But yeah, he's definitely someone I would love to have. Any other West Ham players you consider? Oh, I haven't really thought about it because I'm just so like set on Bowen, just because he does feel like the talisman of that team. I will say the expected data has not been great recently, but I think when you look at midfielders, right? When you look at midfielders for expected goals total, yeah, he's 4th. So Mbermo's there, but he's got penalties. And I think, yeah, if you take out the penalties, apart from maybe Salah, he's got the highest XG. Decore up there as well is pretty incredible. how many goals Decore got? 3. Okay, so he's even underperforming it as well. And then Sonnet there as well. But yeah, so other West Ham defenders, I'm assuming if this is you can't quite get to Bowen, or maybe you already got Bowen. I would consider Souček as an enabler, and the fact he seems to be playing the number 10 role right now. I wouldn't consider either of Paqueta or Ward-Prowse personally. I just think Bowen's worth the extra money. Ward-Prowse seems to be playing much more defensively now, and Antonio just doesn't look like he's playing very well, and I don't think his minutes are very secure. Ings can very easily come into the side, and then everyone else is not really getting the minutes. So if I was to consider anyone from anyone else from West Ham, it'd be Souček. Obviously, Areola, I think, is a fantastic pick at his price. And then maybe a good. It's difficult between him and Zuma because they both are aerial threats in the box. Suval and Emerson both injured as well, by the way. So that could be a transfer for someone to do. But yeah, I think it would be one of the 2 of them. I don't think I like the double up on West Ham defense. I know the fixtures are great, but I think there's quite a few defenses to target from. So yeah, I don't think I would go for the double up on the defense. Going Souček already this week. Yeah, I think he's a good pick, especially at his price. If picking Souček means you can afford everyone else, I think it's great. And if you don't have to play him every week, I do like the rotation of having so you can have a cheap midfielder, right? And then you can have your 7th or 7th attacker, whether it's a forward or a midfielder, as someone who's relatively cheap, like a Neto, like an Adingra, like a Souček, and then work out a really good rotation partner who is a 4.5 million defender and just rotate the 2. So the one I pointed out was Gabriel and Neto rotate incredibly nicely. So you've got Neto here. You'd bench him this game week, but then you play him against Sheffield, you bench him against Spurs, you'd play him against Fulham, you'd bench him against Arsenal, and then obviously the fixtures get quite good. If you then look at Arsenal's fixtures, they just rotate perfectly because you'd play your Arsenal, you'd play Gabriel in 10, you'd bench him, you'd then play him in 12, you'd probably bench him against Brentford, you could consider starting him, but yeah, and then you play him against Wolves, and then obviously you'd want to start both in 15. But yeah, for the next 5 weeks, they rotate really nicely. So that's why I have like Ben White But I mean, benching a 5.6 defender doesn't feel great. I mean, if you look at defenders, I think he's one of the most expensive in the game, right? Not price full, price. Yeah, he's fifth. He's the fifth most expensive defender in the game. But yeah, I think I'm going to sell Haaland. I think I'm going to sell Haaland. It is just who I bench. Is a real coin toss, and I think I need to decide a decent chunk before the deadline. But yeah, I'm actually going to. I need to check Twitter because we might get some early team news about Spurs. I don't know. Do we have anything on Maddison or Son starting? Because that would make my life a lot easier. If Son's not starting, then that my moves are set. I just do the Haaland move, but don't get in Son. That would be really that'd be really helpful. And obviously, I lucked out with the doggy stuff as well last game week because I transferred him out and then he got benched. No, he came off early, so didn't get a clean sheet. But yeah, just looking. I don't think we've got anything, do we, about the early Spurs news? Ooh, but yeah. Haaland is scary to sell because he has just started just not playing with De Bruyne. That's an interesting take. I feel like it is interesting because Haaland's role in the team feels very simple, right? He just stands up top and scores the goals. I know he's obviously got incredible athletic ability, and as you know, he's able to strike the ball so incredibly well. But in terms of the role in the team, I think it's very simple. So I guess you're saying that he's been lacking the delivery of De Bruyne, so he's now getting used to not having that extremely good delivery. I think Alvarez is filling in that position quite nicely. But I think the lack of De Bruyne hasn't really crossed my mind in terms of selling Haaland or not. I think Haaland's a threat even without De Bruyne, as we've seen against Fulham. But I mean, looking at the scores, right? Fulham was the only, I mean, obviously, yeah, Burnley, but Fulham was the only game where he went massive. If he gets 8 points against Man United, I'm fine. I'm not worried at all. If he gets 13, I'm a bit annoyed. If he gets double digits, basically. But what I'm hoping is that if I sell Haaland, Alvarez can cover for him. The issue is I might have to bench Alvarez this game week. So the thing is, I could do these moves, right? I could get in Watkins and I could get in. I think Saka is a better choice than Son for this game week. And then I don't take a hit, and then I just bench Neto. I just bench Neto, and he's got a good fixture. He's got a good fixture in 11. But then my issue is, why am I selling Haaland? Because then I've got 4.3 million in the bank, and I could go Tsimikas to Trent, right? I think Trent is a fantastic choice, but the issue is selling Haaland means I've got to then worry about how I get Haaland back in, and I've not really thought about it much because it's in 6 game weeks time. I don't really mind. But I've got to have some kind of plan. And if I mean, at least having Trent means that I have a very easy route to get him back in, right? Because I want to get him in 16. It's a hard sell against Crystal Palace, but that's 4 million saved immediately. You need to find 6 million to go from Watkins or whoever to Haaland. Selling Trent would be 4 million. So you can get in Haaland. You would have to do it for free transfers, though. That is the concern. You couldn't do it with just that's the thing I realized. The difference between Haaland, I mean, unless you're selling like Son or Salah, the difference between Haaland and the second most expensive striker in the game, being Watkins, is higher than the difference between Watkins, the second most expensive striker in the game, and the cheapest striker in the game. So when you're looking at like pricing, you've got every forward here, Watkins at the top, and then Haaland is even like higher than that, higher than double, which is absolutely crazy and does become a little bit of a problem when you want to get him back in. It will have to be for at least 2 transfers, potentially even 3. I thought about it myself, but scared of looking like a donkey afterwards. Yeah, yeah, it is. There is fear, especially if you're putting yourself out there and saying that you're selling Haaland. You are running the risk of people absolutely slating you. But it's the risk you have to accept when it comes to this. And I think everyone's come to terms with, if you sell Haaland, you're clearly doing it to fund all of these other remaining amazing assets. Even if Haaland does really, really well, you only do badly if your other players don't do badly. As we saw last game week, every player did well. So non-Haaland drafts were completely fine because that every player did well. The 8 points from Haaland didn't matter because Son got 14. Saka, okay, Saka didn't do well, but not many people had him. But Mbermo got 14. Salah got 16. Watkins got 11. Alvarez got 9. It's like he's covered for, and I just don't think I'm going to be captaining Haaland at all in the next 6 game weeks. I'm going to be captaining someone else. So I think I will sell him, but I just need to know how I'm doing it. Basically, he can easily score 3 against I mean, he did it, right? He did easily score 3 against Man United. To be fair, Man United are very on and off team, aren't they? I'm hoping that they turn good against Man City. The fact it's away gives me some confidence. If it was home against Man United, I would be far more concerned. But the fact it's at Old Trafford, I think it will be more difficult for Haaland. His away form is not normally as good. So yeah, I think I will be selling Haaland. It is just for who. So all of you Haaland owners, congratulations. He is now less effective ownership, and you have one more person to gain against by getting him. That is another thing to factor in as well. I did have I'm now 280k, right? This is the highest I've been in the last season. I was never this high last season. The highest I got was 300k. The season before that, I finished 30k, but I don't want to take too many risks. I know I'm talking about selling Haaland, but I don't want to take too many risks. I don't want to take too many hits because I feel like playing it safer is just so good. But I calculated, right, the effective ownerships combined between Son, Saka, and Watkins, the three main players I'm missing right now, is higher than the effective ownership of Haaland. So going without all 3 of those players is more risky than even just having Haaland in my team. Obviously, I could transfer in 2 of them this game week and keep Haaland. But that would require hits, and it would really limit my team in other places. So something I have considered doing is the Mbermo to Saka move, the Wilson to Watkins move. I bench Neto, and then I've got 1.9 million to make up. I could then do Maddison. I think Maddison to Gordon was the one I wanted to do. So then I'm just fearing Son, and I guess Maddison as well would then become a bit of a threat. But I got rid of Wilson, who's not very highly owned. I do like him as a differential, though, so I don't really like getting rid of Wilson. But I do cover Saka. And then I think Gordon as well. I mean, Gordon covers for Wilson, right? I mean, he's pretty much going to be nailed here. I know he didn't get the minute to start against West Ham, but he started, I think, in every other game there. I think he's crucial for that Newcastle team. And I think with all the injuries, he's going to start a lot more eagerly. Lots of people in the chat. Lovely. Alvarez, Maddison, and Chuameka to Mubama, Saka, and Mitoma, -4. Oh, okay. So Alvarez and Maddison are good picks this week anyway, I think. So selling both of them for a -4 is pretty heavy. And you're switching the structure. Again, but Matoma is also a good pick. I think those moves are a bit that you have to accept that could backfire. I think if you're captaining Saka, I think that's good because if you consider him the best asset, the most crucial asset to get in this game week. But that feels a bit of a waste of a hit because you're essentially just shifting your formation, I'm imagining. So if you can find some way of getting in Saka without a hit, I think like if you could just do Maddison to Saka, that'd be great. But I think the Alvarez Chukwuemeka to Mubama, I mean, you're basically going to Mitoma over Alvarez for -4. I just don't think that's worth it. I do like those moves, but not for a hit, basically. A good 3-4-3. I do like the 3-4-3. It is quite differential, isn't it? I'd love to have Ben White. I'd love to have four at the back, but I just don't think it's worth it for this game week. I've got 3 very good defenders. It just doesn't seem worth it. I agree. Having Haaland means he must score as much points as Saka, Maddison, or Bowen, Trent. Yeah, exactly. It's the combined score of your team, right? The reason why Haaland killed us all last season was because Haaland was the only one who was regularly hauling every single week. Salah was miles off it. Saka wasn't doing as good. Son, if you remember, was terrible. He didn't get anything. The only player who was matching up to Haaland was Kane. And it was just basically a 50-50 between the two. That's why Haaland killed us all last season. This season, there are easily 5 or 6 amazing assets you can get, and you can have all of the rest of them if you don't have Haaland. So I think it's definitely worth it, honestly. I wish I just realized this 2 game weeks earlier, because I could have had it. Although, to be fair, I wouldn't have had Mbermo for his 14 points, so I think I've gotten a bit lucky by that. And to be fair, I probably shouldn't be so keen on selling Mbermo. It's just because he's blanked 5 weeks in a row, and it feels like a really good signing off, doesn't it? Him getting the haul. Can I send in my team? Yeah, if you have Twitter, I'm on Twitter, FPL Meerkat. I do have a post about this stream. So talking about the deadline stream, I believe I've got it pinned. If you reply to my pinned tweet with your team, I can look through it. Or you can send your transfer worries here. As well in the chat, and I'll read them because yeah, I'm lovely and I can read all the comments. Haaland was only 12 minutes. Yeah, exactly. He was cheaper, and now he's more expensive, and he's not. I mean, he is getting as many points, isn't he? But that 2 million is really well used elsewhere. I think that's an upgrade to a Trippier from a Botman. That's a Saka over a Matoma or a Diaby. So, yeah, I think I am selling Haaland. I think that front 3, right? I think I've got 3 of. I think when you're ranking forward in the game, maybe you include Darwin because he could get minutes. That could be really differential, right? This game week, instead of getting Watkins, I get in Darwin. As a Liverpool man, I would absolutely love to do that. The problem is Gakpo's back, so I just got no guarantee that Darwin's going to play, and I cannot deal. I've got Wilson in the team already. There's no way I can have Wilson and Darwin. That would just kill me. I think Isak is definitely out, right? I should double check that before I commit to this. Isak's definitely injured, isn't he? Yeah, FPL Olympian put out a really good tweet. Rounding up, didn't he? Isn't serious, but it would be enough to keep him out for a few weeks. So he's probably out until the international break. So that's 3 game weeks. I get Wilson for 3 game weeks. And I mean, I would bench him against Arsenal anyway. I could just do Wilson to Watkins and then just brave it without Saka and Son. But then it gets really tough in terms of funds, doesn't it? So that's a bit difficult. But yeah, I think the front 3 of Watkins, Wilson, Alvarez is not only differential, but it feels really strong. And then yeah, it's the moves that I've been wanting to do this whole time. I mean, I could just bench Neto, right? I could roll with the money in the bank, not take a hit, because at this point, right, I just bench Neto. I don't have a benching headache. I bench Bell, Bayer, and then what is, if I get in Son, and basically it's not a -4 for Neto, it's a -4 to go for Son over whoever I bench. That's what it is. So am I comfortable that Son is going to outscore any of the other players by 4 points? I don't think I am, but I want him. I want him because he's so highly owned and he looks so good. He looks so good, and the fixtures aren't terrible for Spurs. They're not great. That's why I like the looks of the likes of Diaby and Saka especially. I know the Newcastle game is, but wow, yeah, these are really good fixtures for Arsenal, isn't it? I mean, maybe I should be. Maybe I to be honest, am I missing Martinelli? Should I be going Martinelli instead? Because if I got in Martinelli, I'd definitely play him, right? I think Martinelli is a better pick than Son. So maybe I'll get in Martinelli and then just bench. Obviously, I've still got a benching headache, but I feel like he might be a better. Sorry, FPL. It's at FPL Meerkat. So the same as my YouTube. Yeah, it's at FPL Meerkat. It's any love for Martinelli. Yeah, I promise you, I didn't see that message. Yeah, I love Martinelli as a pick. I know people are saying he's worse without Jesus in the team. I do agree because Jesus does a lot of the heavy lifting. He does a lot of the tracking back. He does a lot of the he activates a lot of players, a lot like, when Liverpool had fixtures and Firmino was injured, a lot similar to that. I think Martinelli suffers a lot more, especially more than Saka does. Saka only suffers when he's been pushed out really far out wide, but when Jesus isn't in the team, he plays a lot more central. But yeah, I do really like Martinelli as a pick. I would worry though, because when we get to game week 11, I've got Maddison, Saka, and Martinelli all with tough fixtures. So then I've got a little bit of and Wilson. I've then got 4 players with a tough fixture. I plan to sell one of them anyway, but yeah, then it's a bit tough. It would be a bit tough then. Opinion on Mbermo to Matoma for a -4 for me. For this game week, I think that works because the issue is, right, you're getting rid of Mbermo, a player on penalties who can return in games, for Matoma, not on penalties, much better fixture, can return in games. You have to guarantee that Matoma returns in that game. And not only does he have to return in that game, Mbermo also has to blank. The odds, I don't like the odds of that. I would agree that does work out in the long term. So over like a 4-week stretch, I think that does work out. But for the immediate game week, can you do that move next game week? Not for a -4. That's what I'd be considering. I don't like removing players who you think are good assets for -4s. Because of the points deficit. Obviously, the -4 I'm taking. Oh goodness me! I nearly knocked over my tripod. The -4 I'm taking, I'm getting in a lot of different assets, so it's a lot of different things adding up. I think that the 3 players I bring in outscore all of them, but maybe not Haaland. So yeah, I think that's tough. But I do like. I like the I like the move if it's not a hit, but for a hit, I think that's a tough one. Yep. See you, stockbroker. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hit the like if you're still watching, guys, as well, and get subscribed to the channel. Really helps me out trying to grow the channel. I do a lot of stuff on Twitter, but yeah, I'd really like to grow the YouTube stuff, and I'd like to do a lot more streams as well. I like this kind of immediate feedback to you guys' questions, and obviously you guys think about stuff. And do you guys watch the stream, or do you just have it on as background noise? I like putting on streams and playing some video game or doing something else with it going on in the background. I think that's just really nice. So yeah, do you guys like that kind of stuff? Yeah, right. It is when you say it out loud though, taking out Haaland for a -4, it sounds ridiculous, right? But I think Watkins is so essential for me to have. I think we've just seen that Diaby can't cover for it. I could get mega lucky and they both haul. I think the chance that Diaby hauls and Watkins doesn't is so low, but I think the chance that Watkins hauls and Diaby doesn't is not that high. Sorry, is not that low. I could very feasibly see that happening. So yeah, how long we got? We've got 25 minutes, so still got plenty of time to consider my options before I say goodbye to Haaland and worry about how on earth I get him back in for the Luton game. Or do I get him back in for the Luton game? Because he blanks in 18, right? Obviously, if he doubles in 20, he has to be in the team, right? That's suicidal if he's not back. But if I get him back in 16 for that one game, I'm then just benching him in 18 anyway. And I would like to save my chips for as long as possible because I did fire the wild card so early. But yeah, Haaland would definitely come back in at some point. But yeah, lots of. Are there any other teams as well I haven't really considered getting in? Let's have a look at the. I know this is not the best way of looking at fixtures, but let's just have a look at the fixture difficulty on the site. Because Villa, obviously, I think a triple up is fine. I know people have said, yeah, I don't want to hold the triple up because the fixtures get worse pretty quickly after game week 14. I think you just easily sell one of them in 14 and then you can bench another. Like you can bench Cash You can just transfer. I think you keep Watkins anyway. He's such a good asset. And then if you've got Diaby, you just transfer him. I think that's really easy to do. Brighton, again, as we've said, it would only really be Matoma or Stupinan for me. I don't really like the looks of, João Pedro, Ferguson. I just don't know. I just don't know about the rotation. I don't know enough. Burnley's great. Someone did recommend Foster. I do like Foster as an 8th attacker, I think, on the bench. I think we do expect Burnley to pick up at some point. The Bournemouth-Burnley game is a really interesting one, isn't it? This could be like, if you've got Solanke, he could get a couple goals. He could really shoot you up, to be honest. Maybe that's someone we're just not considering at all. Liverpool have great fixtures, but again, who'd you pick apart outside of Salah, Tsimikas? If you've got Diaz, I think Diaz is great this game week, but again, is he great over this run? How many games does he start? That's my question. Newcastle, right fixtures. It gets a bit tough here, doesn't it? And Man United. Man United's the other one, right? That run there. Sheffield United. No, we're not looking at Sheffield United players, are we? Also, yeah, I see Crystal Palace defender as well. If you're on a wild card, definitely Crystal Palace defender worth considering if you're going to bench him this game week, and then maybe rotate with I guess Arsenal have a tough fixture then, don't they? And then Man United, yeah. I mean, let's see what happens in the Manchester derby. Maybe they pull off a shock victory, and then suddenly we're all thinking, "Oh my God, how do I get in Fernandes?" Very unlikely, but yeah. Streams I watch when I play games, Diablo 2. Yeah, and I have a series. Or movie on the side screen. Wait, do you watch a stream and a movie at the same? That's crazy. If you're able to watch a movie and a stream at the same time, that's insane. I can't watch two things at once. I can play something and I can listen to something, but or like watch it half. But if you're able to watch a movie and watch a stream at the same time, that's actually very impressive, and recall what's going on in both of them. Still 20 minutes, still not having to rush things as of yet. Is there any Spurs news? Can we just get some clarification that Son is definitely starting? One of the main reasons I haven't had Son in the first place, right, is because he was carrying so many knocks. I just thought that would catch up to him at some point. I just assumed that Son would eventually, the injuries would eventually catch up, and that he wouldn't be able to start. But obviously he's been able to play through them because he's an absolute monster. Oh goodness me, what to do? I have 4 screens. That's, God, if you're able to watch all of those, that's unbelievable. The most I'd ever have at one time is 3. I'd be playing something on a TV, and then I'd be watching something on the I maybe have two games on, 2 football games, maybe be it. But yeah. What's the news on the Udogie injury? I don't think we've really got an update. I think Paul O'Keefe is the guy who mainly breaks news. He's weird, right? Because I remember Paul O'Keefe being the guy who was just spot on all the time when it came to Spurs news. He really looked like he was in the know. He would get the team sheets 100% correct every single time. And then he started to get quite a few things wrong. None of them mattered in terms of FPL. Like, it'd be random players who he got wrong, or it wouldn't be early team news. It would just be after the deadline. But he gave an update, I think, on Udogie, unless he's deleted it. It doesn't seem to be on his Twitter. But let's see. Oh yeah, I think okay, yeah, he said he's in contention. So he's back, so he's fit. He's fit enough to play. The question is, does he rotate? Because it feels like Crystal Palace could be one to rotate. The thing you've got to think about is that Spurs, I don't think, have any cup games, do they? So they get a week rest anyway. So that's why Son, I think, has been able to play so much. Unless I'm mistaken, I think Spurs got knocked out of the cup, didn't they? Unless they've got yeah. So they're not in either of the cups. So they will have a week rest. So I think Udogie starts this game personally. I wouldn't be torn off by the flag. If you've got to make a transfer this game week, I sold a doggy last game week and it worked out for me. So I would if you have to make a transfer. But yeah, I'd start a doggy anyway. Should I transfer in Wilson? I have no Haaland. Oh, who's your front three then? Because if you've got like Watkins, Alvarez, don't think you really need Wilson. It depends. If you're like if you've got Darwin, I would start him. If you've got Solanke, I'd start him. I don't think Wilson is a must this game week. I like him because he's a differential. But if it means taking a hit or changing your formation quite drastically, I wouldn't. But yeah, I think Wilson's a very good pick. He's good in the short term, definitely. But I think the likes of Alvarez and Watkins certainly are better for the long term. Watkins and Alvarez only. So yeah, so I guess you've got really cheap forward. I think it's difficult because you'd have to do 2 transfers then, right? Unless you've got loads in the bank. So I think you've probably got better transfers to make than getting in Wilson in the midfield. I'd assume you've got someone else you could possibly focus on. Oh, and you've got no Haaland, so you've probably got the funds. I mean, I like Wilson as a player this game week. Or Ferguson. Again, like I said, I just don't know about Brighton's rotation. I know that who is it? Let's have a look. I think Ferguson. No, not Ferguson. Welbeck. Yeah, Welbeck's injured. That's long term. But João Pedro can just play striker. I think he did play striker last night. So I just don't know. I think Ferguson starts this game, but again, you look at these fixtures, you look at the massive fixture congestion Brighton have. Can you guarantee me that Ferguson plays all 4 of these games? No, you can't. I reckon he could play free quite comfortably. But I mean, he is 6 million. So he did get a hat trick against Newcastle, right? But he's not been playing very well. He's not been getting the minutes. He's not been playing well. He was really good at the start of the season. So he could be a great differential, to be honest. He's not really a forward that many people can have. 8th mid is Almiron. I love Almiron as a pick, to be honest. I'm amazed he's your 8th mid because you've got no Haaland. Sorry, I keep forgetting. Of course, these non-Haaland drafts look amazing in terms of funds. Because Almiron's probably going to play very, very often now. Because Barnes is injured, Isak's injured, and Murphy's now injured. So it's going to probably be Gordon, Wilson, Almiron as the front 3. I think if you have Almiron, I don't think you really need Wilson, right? I think Almiron's differential enough to cover the Newcastle attack. And I don't think Wilson's not really been setting the world alight. He's got very good expected data, but if you've seen his shooting, it's not quite there. He's not very clinical. So yeah, I don't mind that at all. Isak's injured. Wilson's maybe the best choice other than Haaland. Oh right, yeah, because Watkins and Alvarez. I was going to say I'd say Haaland is probably number 1, isn't he? Right? It's probably Haaland, but he's so expensive. Then Watkins, then Alvarez, then Wilson. So I think I've got 3. I could have 3 of the top 4. But yeah, because he's already got those 2. Yeah, I would say Wilson is the best choice when Isak is fit. Yeah, this is the headache I've had this well, not whole season, but I basically had Wilson for the Sheffield game. I had him for the 8-0 drumming against Sheffield because Isak was a doubt. I knew he was going to play. And I was like, 8-0 scoreline. I was like, oh my goodness, this differential of mine is going to absolutely soar me up the ranks. 1 goal, 6 points. All the defenders seemed to get a goal. I think it was 8 different goal scorers, wasn't it? Absolutely insane how he didn't get more there. Because, yeah, I mean, look, if you ignore the Burnley game, right, because he didn't start, and this one, 12 goals in those 2 games, he's part of 2 of them. He's just not talismanic in that Newcastle side. They've so many assets for goals. I'm just hoping for a Trippier Wilson link up. I think it's coming. It's coming surely with the crossing ability of Trippier. I think it's coming. Mitoma or Martinelli? I have no Arsenal forward. Martinelli for sure. Then, if I really want to cover Arsenal attack in that game, I think Martinelli is a great pick. So yeah, I would definitely say Martinelli. Again, obviously you're saving $1 million. You're saving $1 million if you go for you're saving $1 million if you go for Mitoma. But yeah, if it's just a straight shootout between the 2, I would definitely go for Martinelli. Hi, mate. For -4, sell Trippier and sell Trippier. I don't like the look of and Madison for Gabriel and Saka. I think that's a very short-term move. Personally, I think that sounds really nice on paper for this game week because the Sheffield game. If you think the Sheffield is going to be an absolute mauling, like a 9-0, I would go for that. But Trippier is a fantastic asset. Madison's a great asset. So getting rid of them for just for this game week, for the Arsenal game week coming up against Sheffield, and then you're straight into Newcastle, not great. Burnley, again, brilliant. Could you do some of those moves spaced out? Could you wait to bring in Saka for the Burnley game instead? Again, I'm not too keen on taking hits like that when you're taking out really good players. Obviously, you're getting in good players as well, but yeah, I just think it's a bit risky. Even though I'm a risk taker manager, I'm doing quite well this season, so I need to play safe. How long is Isak out for? The news was he'll be out for a while, basically a few weeks. I think was the headline. Which I mean, we're going to get an international break, right? We've got this game week 10. We've got next game week. We've got next week or the week following. And then I'd expect game week 13, he's back. So Wilson, you're probably, hopefully, going to get nailed for 3 game weeks, which is all right. But then as soon as he's back, you're going to want to sell Wilson, like I've been wanting to sell Wilson for weeks. But now I feel like I have to keep him out of respect because I know he's going to play. So we've got 14 minutes. I still need to decide who I'm going to bench. I'm actually let's quickly switch to Draft Hound real quick. I think I've got a link to Draft Hound in the description if you want to check it out. Find it really useful for the predicted points there. So this currently has obviously starting Wilson over Neto as my team. So if I do the transfers that I wanted to do, right? If I go to player rankings, is that the right one? Yeah. Player rankings. So Saka transfer in for Mbermo. We then go for it's usually a bit easier to go through than this. I've just done this for the formatting of on the screen. It looks a lot better when it's squished down. For Watkins, obviously the captaincy on Salah, and then get in Son as the third move for Neto. Who does it say I should bench? It says Wilson. I mean, I could just do that, right? Bench Wilson. Just hope he is. Maybe I should think about this. Is Wolves that good of a game? Is Wolves that good of a game for Newcastle? Obviously, play area. It probably isn't that great, right? Like I could. That does look fine, right? But then I'm also asking, is it worth getting in Son for the -4? I'm sort of just covering my bases by that point, and I'm using up the Haaland funds as well, which is nice. And then the rotation gets a lot easier. It's just this game week, everyone's got quite a nice fixture apart from Alvarez, but again, it's against Man United. It could still be a good fixture anyway. Next game week, I would bench Wilson anyway, so that's kind of why I want to play him. Because then otherwise, why have I got him in my team if I'm benching him twice and he's worth that much money? Yeah, no worries, mate. I'm of a believer on having the talisman of each club. Yeah. Trippier is, he's certainly the main provider, isn't he? Selling him is a huge risk. Yeah, I think he can easily outscore the other Newcastle defenders every single game week. And Newcastle seem to be flying right now. So I just think I think it is a big risk. And I do agree it's good to have the talisman, like the main asset from each team. Wolves have only scored 11 goals in 9 matches. Oh, yeah, I definitely for the defenders. I totally agree. I mean, for the attackers, because how many goals have Wolves conceded, right? Actually, wait, I can just check. I can just check the Premier League table for goals conceded for Wolves. They've conceded 15, so that's over 1 a game. That's nearly 2 a game. I mean, do I see this Newcastle game being more than 2-0? I mean, Newcastle seem to go on like they're quite streaky, right? If I go back to the to my team, StreamYard, present, there. If I go back here, Newcastle just seem to score like, I mean, the 8-0, the 4-0, the 5 against Villa. When they win big, right? 3 losses here, but again, really tough fixtures. Yes, the Brentford game was low scoring. The Burnley game was fairly low scoring, but they can just go on massive wins, right? And they look so good form. They looked off it against Dortmund, I will say. I think Wilson isn't as good as Isak, is he? So they will probably concede less goals. But yeah, I feel like I'm procrastinating. I feel like I'm just delaying for the inevitable, right? Oh, right. I think I'm doing these moves. I think I'm doing these moves. I just need to. I'm just going to wait on Son. I'm just going to wait on him. I am selling Haaland, but that's money in the bank. So if I immediately regret it, I could just reverse it for a -4. Obviously, that's not great, but could potentially do that. Have we got anything on Son starting? I can't see anything on Twitter. I don't know who we'd normally go for confirmed team news. I see a lot of people actually posting out now about it. Yeah, a lot of people committing to no Haaland as well. Quite a few of you joining. That's lovely to see. Please give me some help about what I'm doing, because there's only 9 minutes and I still am unsure. The thing is, right, I feel like I'm committing to no Haaland now because I don't know what else I'd do other than just Wilson to Watkins. But then I'm playing in Burma. And then, I mean, is it bad to play in Burma away against Chelsea? Probably not. I'm just sick of him. I'm just sick of all the blanks I got, the 4 blanks in a row. Yes, he did incredibly well against Burnley, but that's just because it was a good fixture. I don't think he'd I don't think he hauls in any of these games. Obviously, I want him back for Luton, but then obviously really easy switch from Diaby, right? I know actually Bournemouth's not a great fixture, is it? Who has a really bad fixture in game week? How do I get Mbeumo back in? Who's got a really bad fixture? Spurs. I could Madison to Mbeumo or potentially Neto if I still got him in the team. But yeah, time to potentially do the transfers. Would like to know if Son is starting. I think it's very likely he is. I think there is some people that have said he is, but I don't think anyone who's like confirmed 100% reliable. Some people have guessed, I imagine, that he's starting. Predicted, maybe is the better term. But yeah, I think I just need to cover my bases, right? I need to get in Watkins, and I need to get in Saka, and I'd like to get in Son, but who am I playing? I think these moves are definite, right? I think Saka outscores Son, I think, for this game week. I've got the money in the bank. I think I'm going to make this transfer now. Oh, getting rid of Haaland does not feel good. It does not feel good at all. I feel like a chill's just gone down my spine. Selling Haaland. But right, last check. Would I captain Haaland in any of these game weeks? Let's just quickly check fixtures. Wouldn't captain him this week. Bournemouth at home, I still don't think I'd captain him because Salah's got Luton away. I think I'd captain Salah. The Chelsea game, I would probably captain Watkins maybe against Fulham. No, sorry, Saka. I'd captain Saka against Burnley. 13. No, I probably wouldn't captain him against Liverpool. I'd probably captain, I think, Bowen against Burnley when I get Bowen in. Game week 14. Man City against Spurs. No. Who have Liverpool got? Fulham. Yep. Salah captain again. Salah captain probably again in 15. And then 16, I'd bring him in. So, yeah, don't think I'd captain Haaland in any of those. So I think say your goodbyes to Haaland. He is going. Yeah, I need to do this now, actually, because we've got 5 minutes and I need to sort out the team. So, and Burmo's gone. Saka is in. Make the transfers. That is right. Yeah, confirm. Okay, Haaland's gone. Haaland's gone. Keeping the armband on Salah. I'm going to vice captain Saka. Neto currently sat on the bench. Now I ponder for 5 minutes whether I want Son in the team. Or do I think Maddison can cover for Son one last time? I thought he could cover this last game week. He kind of did. But again, the people who had Maddison and Son did really well. So yeah, do I get in Son for a -4 to bench? Who would I bench? Who would I bench as well? I just don't know. I just don't know who I'd bench. Who would I start over Mbermo and Gusto? Do we think Mbermo will score? Well, I've just sold him, so I hope not. He could score, though. He's got penalties. We saw he got very lucky with penalties at the start of the season. He could easily score. It's not been nice selling Mbermo, honestly. And I've done this confidently because I haven't done it for a hit. And I've still got... oh, nice. Wilson is a trap. He's been a trap for so long, but he's got a haul coming, surely. Surely he's got a haul coming. And I just hope Haaland doesn't haul against Man United. Oh, gosh, what have I done? Oh, out of those two, I would definitely start Burno. I don't know. Gusto, I've not really even thought about starting I've not even thought about a Chelsea defender, to be honest, because the fixture's so bad. I would start on Burmo. I'd start the attacker in that fixture. I would fancy Brentford's odds of scoring. Did it in game week 8. Yeah, very happy for you who sold Haaland in game week 8. Oh, what do I do about Son, guys? What do I do? I just got to check. Yeah, Areola in net. The defense of Trippier, Simicast, Cash. I'm not going for White. That really does hurt my soul. Because then I've still got a headache, right? If I then do a -4 and get in White for, say, Bayer or Bell, I've then got the problem of who do I bench again. So that doesn't solve anything. And I'm assuming you all think that Son outscores Ben White, right? Like, I mean, what if White gets a clean sheet assist? 3 bonus points. 12-pointer. Does Son get more than 12-pointer? He could. He did get 14 points last game week. Got 3 minutes. 3 minutes to weigh up whether I do this move. Of Neto to Son. The thing is, right, the thing why I'm leaning more towards it is because the rotation is better, isn't it? The rotation is better for game week 11 because I just bench Wilson and then I do Maddison to Bowen and then I've still got the Spurs coverage with Son. And I don't think I worry as much as not having Maddison because otherwise I do the Maddison to Bowen move and I don't have Spurs coverage. And then I really worry because they've still got quite high ownership. But yeah, umming and ahhing whether I do this move. Who do I bench, though? Who would I bench? Who would I bench? Who would I bench? If Neto becomes Son. Who did Drafthound say? Drafthound said Wilson. Quite considerably as well. It's not even like Wilson or Alvarez, it's saying. I think I can't bench Diaby because the fixture's so good there. He could haul. Alvarez, it would be Wilson. It would be Wilson I bench, I think. And I don't think Son's worth it over -4 for Wilson. I think that's the right play. Maybe it's Maddison. Maybe it's Maddison. But then that feels very backwards, right? Taking out Maddison or benching Maddison for a -4 over Son. Oh, but Son could just go off. He could just go off in this one. Let me have a look at my thread real quick. We've got like 1 minute. Whether the striker position is very good against Crystal Palace. I mean, not really. Crystal Palace have been all right defensively. They obviously look terrible against Newcastle. Oh my God, people getting questions now. Doesn't feel right to make a -4 for Son now. Yeah, I do agree. Son has to outscore the bench player. You are right. You are right. I'm just going to hope that Son doesn't go off massively. Maddison to Saka worth a -4. No, I'm going to say no. this close to deadline, no. But yeah, Saka is a great option this game week, and I would like to cover him. But yeah, I think you're right. I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to get Saka in. roll with the money, not have Haaland in the team, and just pray that Son doesn't go off on an absolute mad one. Oh my goodness. And yeah, it doesn't really matter about Bayer and Bell, does it? In terms of the benching. And yeah, look at that front three. Isn't that a front three? Maybe I hope that one of them's benched. No, that would be, sorry, that's if I have Son in the team. It's too late now. I've made my bed. I'm not having Son. So Son and Haaland. Son and Haaland are the two players to worry about. And deadline's gone. Deadline has gone. And I don't have Haaland. Game is updating soon. Yeah, I don't have Haaland. I didn't actually. Oh no, I didn't screenshot the team. Oh no, I didn't screenshot the team. Oh, for goodness sake. Oh well, I won't be able to post it. That's funny. I normally have to, screenshot to make post. But yeah, as you can see by the skeleton thing, I've now got a Halloween party to go to, a quiz night at our village hall. It literally starts in half an hour. So I won't even be watching the Spurs game. I won't know until afterwards what has happened. But yeah, captaincy is on Salah, and there is no Haaland and there is no Son in my team. Oh my goodness, what have I done? But yeah, thank you guys for watching this hectic deadline stream. I hope you guys have benefited from the advice I've given you, but I have to shoot off now. And yeah, good luck with the upcoming game. I can go. Yeah, actually, you're right. I can go back in the video and screenshot it. Yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you, Krem. And I will see you guys. Make sure you get subscribed to the channel for more weekly content. I'll hopefully do way more streams. Again, deadline streams are a bit difficult for me to do because I normally work on Saturday mornings. So this is why I've been able to do it on a Friday. But yeah, I'll see if I can get around to be doing more because I do like this kind of format. And I'll see you guys in the next FPL video.